Hello and welcome to the webinar. Welcome and Happy New Year 2019 to you. So first of all, this is me, Chris Pickard, at Body in Balance. And I'd like to just apologise for everyone that tried to get on the original webinar live. We had huge technical difficulties. We started and then it cut out after 20 minutes. So I am recording this directly on my computer and then I'm uploading it. So I'm sorry there will be no question and answer, but we'll get back into the swing of things as we progress through the year. So this particular webinar is the number one resolution you need for 2019, in which I will go through the 1, 2, 3, 4 KISS health formula. Before we begin though, I would just like to say that if you want to get hold of the Keep It Simple 7 and you really want to improve your health, then wait around to the end. And also the actual number one resolution I will actually be revealing at the end. So before we start, a results disclaimer. Throughout the presentation, I will be talking about some people who've had some pretty amazing results. And I would just like to say that results, as you will see, are not typical. They can be very varied depending on what's wrong with people and what they're prepared to do. I am not promising to cure any particular disease. What these strategies will do is they will make you healthier and more able to cope with what life throws at you. Now, let's move to next. So who is this presentation, this webinar for? It is for people in pain, whether it's back pain, neck pain, or arthritis, whether it's from a sports injury, whether it's chronic, especially if it's chronic pain. It's for people who are feeling older than they want, and I'll give you some examples of that later. People who want more energy, maybe want better memories, clear your brain fog. People want to burn stubborn belly fat, especially maybe get rid of some of that extra Christmas belly fat. People who are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. Generally, people who want more life. Now, I have a couple of goals for this presentation. The first one is to convince you, yes, actually convince you that the only way that you can ensure your health is through self-health responsibility. That means taking care of yourself and responsibility for all of your health, not trying to blame it on anyone else or anything else. And the only way to fully own true self-health is through learning and applying all of the tools we now have and learning to use the ones that we've all forgotten about or didn't even know we had. My overall mission is to relieve human suffering and as a side effect, save the NHS. So how do I plan to do that? Well, by improving the health of everyone I meet so much that they save the NHS £50,000 each. Let me explain. The average 55-year-old over the rest of their life will cost the NHS an average of about £100,000. And in fact, most of the costs of the NHS go in that 55 and older age group. And most of them are caused by problems with your lifestyle, problems that cannot be fixed by medicine, as you're about to discover. And so by inspiring individuals to improve their health, then through what I call the rising tide effect, they're actually going to raise the health of the family, inspire more health and well-being in those around them. And as their bodies and beings get better, then their brains will get better, they'll maybe make better decisions, and maybe they'll be more at peace and spread some peace and better decisions in the world. And wouldn't that be a lovely world to live in? One with much more peace and health and well-being and understanding. I hope you're nodding your head and agreeing with me on that one. Because if you are, then let's get started. Let's change the world. So what makes me, Chris Pickard, the expert? Well, I've been showing people how to add 20 years of health to their life for 22, 20, 24 years or more now. But I didn't always start off healthy. Here's me looking rather grumpy as a 1-year-old there in that fantastic little tank top that I think my grandmother knitted for me. And when I was a child, yes, a child, I used to have a filthy habit. I used to smoke. When I was about 11 years old, absolutely disgusting and of course very illegal. And my parents did suspect, but there was nothing much they could do about it. And then when I was a little bit older, a teenager, I had, I think, just about given up smoking by then, thankfully. I started getting another lung problem. I started getting hay fever. I say a lung problem because I was getting sneezing and coughing and also itching eyes and all kinds of other things. But also my mother had hay fever, and she noticed that when she was regularly seeing a chiropractor, yes, a chiropractor, someone to work on the spine, she noticed that her hay fever was a lot better. And so when I started getting hay fever, my parents took me to a chiropractor so that I wouldn't have to be on medication for the rest of my life. And you know what? I had a series of chiropractic adjustments and my hay fever was a lot better. And some time after, my parents thought it would be a good idea for us to all to learn to meditate, not for any particular religious reasons, just for health reasons. So I started getting my mind in tune after having got my spine in tune. And so I decided that I too was going to go to chiropractic college and learn this amazing art and science and philosophy. And it turned out that people didn't go to chiropractors for general health problems. They tended to go to chiropractors because of back pain specifically, because that's what people thought chiropractors dealt with, because we do tend to deal with it rather well. However, I wasn't just interested in back pain alone, even though, of course, I do help a lot of people in pain. I was interested in the whole of health. So I then started learning about something called functional medicine that was started by this guy here, Jeff Bland, who's got lots and lots and lots of qualifications and degrees. He used to work with a guy called Linus Pauling, who was a guy who got 2 Nobel Prizes, one for chemistry and one for peace. And he's written a lot of papers and has done a lot of work on trying to educate doctors, nutritionists, chiropractors, all kinds of people around the world influencing health. And one of the people that he worked with in the early years was this guy, Dr. Bob Rakowski, who I got to meet through a friend many years later. And I am one of the first people in the UK to actually bring a lot of this guy's techniques to the UK. More about him later. But basically, a lot of US athletes go to him. A lot of people who have been told there's nothing else they can do, they go to see him. And there have been people that have been given a week to live, see him, and they're still alive 20 years later. I'll be sharing a story of that later. And then I also got to learn from this guy here, Dr. Daniel Pomper, who, as well as bringing cutting-edge cellular healing techniques, he also has done a lot of research into ancient healing modalities that, now Nobel Prizes are saying, we should be doing. So I'll reveal more of that later. So after 29 years of learning about health and spending £100,000 or more, I am still learning. And primarily I'm still learning how to communicate everything I know to my patients. Now, unfortunately, time with patients is very limited, and to try and give them 29 years worth of knowledge in a few sessions is impossible. This is why I love online education. And one of my aims here is to give you the reasons why you need to take more care of yourself and your family than you currently think you do, and the belief that you can do it and the tools you need. And part of this is the 1, 2, 3, 4 KISS health formula. And this year it all starts with the number 1 resolution, which I will be revealing shortly. And then there's the 2 types of good health. And then there's the 3 secrets holding you back. Then there are the 4 core areas you have to address. And then finally, the KISS, Keep It Simple 7. Now I'm going to start with the 2 types of good health. You may not know this, but there are 2 types of good health. There's A and there's P. Good health number 1 is people who get to 60, 70 years old and they're in good health. And that is pretty much nearly always by accident. Very few have type number 2 good health, which is planned health. Because most people plan holidays, they might plan their career, but they really don't plan their health very well at all. They take it for granted and they think that it's somebody else's responsibility. And part of that is because of in the UK is because of the amazing NHS. They think, don't worry, when I get sick, the NHS will take care of it. However, as you're about to find out, that is not the way things work. These are the 3 secrets that are holding you back. Secret number 1, medicine is actually broken, so it can't save you. We'll get to the headline and the punchline in a minute. Secret number 2 is you decide if you live or die. I'm going to tell you what heart attacks have told us what heart attack survival has told us. Secret number 3, the new paradigm. Fix the cell to get well. So secret number 1, medicine is broken, so it can't save you. Now let's have a look at this. Now, most people are nearly dead for years before they die. What does this mean? Well, you may have heard of life expectancy. In the UK, the average life expectancy is just over 80 years old. But do you know what the health expectancy is? Your health expectancy is how many years you're expected to live before you are taking medicine for the rest of your life, i.e. you have a chronic health condition. And the health span of the UK is about 60, give or take a few years. So it means that you can look forward to spending the last 20 years or more of your life with a chronic disease. And the thing is, chronic diseases are not curable by modern medicine because you have to go on blood pressure medication for the rest of your life. You go on diabetes medication for the rest of your life. You go on heart medication for the rest of your life. They don't cure you because these chronic diseases are not a disease like tuberculosis, which can be cured by antibiotics. They're all down to your choices that you made years before the disease was present. But there's good news. Don't worry, there's good news. But more bad news. Now, as people go on one drug, it tends to cause side effects. And those side effects usually then lead to more costs and more drugs. And in fact, it's shown that basically, as people take more drugs, the side effects and the risks of adverse deaths goes up. And in fact, more money is spent on side effects to drugs than there is actually money spent on treating the diseases in the first place. And as people age, they tend to go on more and more drugs, and the risk of them dying from the drugs goes up. In the USA, it's worse than it is in the UK, but it's catching up here in the UK. And in fact, here it has properly prescribed medicine as the 3rd leading cause of death in America, but some researchers put it actually as grossly underestimated, and it's actually the #1 leading cause of death. And it's actually causing almost 1 million deaths in the USA every year, and in the UK it's causing an equivalent amount. So basically, people they may be living longer with heart disease and cancer than they would do if they didn't take the drugs, but it's actually then the drugs that kill them. And this is why this guy here, Dr. Asim Malhotra, an English doctor, went to the European Parliament last year and said basically honest doctors can no longer practice honest medicine, okay? Because he believes that most doctors are misinformed, most of the public are misinformed by the drug companies intentionally in order for them to just make money. And that we really need to take a completely different look at medicine and the NHS, because the NHS is broken. Money will not fix it. It has to be done via education. So a lot of people ask me, though, okay, well, you've spoken briefly about lifestyle, and you said that some people have good health by accident, but so isn't it all down to genetics? And the answer is no, it's not. A small part of it may be. You may be given good genetics, so it means you can resist a lot of disease, but here's the facts, okay? How we eat actually alters our genes and how they're expressed. How we move and exercise actually alters our genes and how they're expressed. How we think alters our genes, which you're going to find out very shortly. Our environment alters our genes, and that's a massive one. Our genetic expression is a function of everything we do. Our genetic expression is not the cause of everything we do and everything we suffer. And understanding our genetics does give us ways to live longer if we understand where our shortcomings are. But it doesn't mean to say we have to live with it. So basically, the big take-home point is medicine cannot save you from how you choose to eat, think, and move. And so, the four enemies, the four horsemen of the apocalypse, 4 horsemen of your health apocalypse, and the 4 areas you need to really address are your laziness, your malnutrition, which most people don't even realize how malnourished they are. Most doctors, I have GPs as patients, they have so little understanding of true nutrition and good health and what it's all about. And then there's toxicity. This is a huge, major issue that's completely underestimated, apart from in the scientific journals. And then there's stress, which is a huge problem as well. Now, the good news is all of those chronic diseases, heart disease, even cancer, we know that there's actually plenty of scientific evidence. Dr. Michael Murray is a guy who's done a lot of research into this. There's probably more scientific evidence for natural cures for all of these problems than there is for the actual medicine that's costing us a lot of money. And a great example of this story is the girl on the right here, Hannah Cohen, and that's her husband, Pete Cohen, who's a friend of mine. And Hannah's a friend of mine now. But Hannah, about 6, maybe 7 years ago, was diagnosed with a terminal brain cancer. There was nothing that could be done here in the UK for her. She was given about 18 months to live. And her husband, luckily well connected, as he often says, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Pete used to be on TV, still is sometimes on TV. He was on TV last year. He's a life coach, and he knows people like Dr. Hillary. And he asked Dr. Hillary for advice. And Dr. Hillary said, you need to find some people that maybe have survived this cancer and find out what they did. And so this is exactly what Pete and Hannah did. They tracked down someone in the States who was curing her type of cancer. And here's the thing, they spent a lot of money, they got the cure, her cancer was better, but it came back. So they went through the cure again, got rid of it, but it came back again. And while they were waiting in the same place again to get the same cure again, they met someone who said, well, this doctor's really good at curing cancer, but if you're here again, it means that your body is actually just really good at causing cancer. And so you need to find someone that's actually going to change you. And this is when they met Dr. Bob Rakowski. And Dr. Bob Rakowski put Hannah through a number of protocols that cleaned her body out, stopped it producing cancer so that the cure could actually take effect. And now, 6 years later, she is cancer clear. So no matter what problems you have, if you know the right people, you can find people. And if you're dedicated to do what it takes, you can clean your body up. Secret number 2 is you decide if you live or die. And this is a story of hotel maids and heart attacks. They're both 2 slightly different stories. Okay, so this question here, in general, would you say your health is excellent, very good, good, fair, or poor? Now, people who think that their health is excellent, who then go out and prove that their health isn't excellent by having a heart attack, People who think their health is excellent are actually far more likely to survive a heart attack than people who already think that they're in poor health and then have a heart attack. So people can have the same income, they can have the same diet, they can be doing all the same things, but if one person thinks their health is excellent and the other one thinks they're poor, then the one who thinks they have excellent health are actually more likely to rebound and not die from a heart attack. And they found this time and time again, that your attitude is actually one of the things that determines whether you survive having poor health. So attitude is important. And it's not just for surviving heart attacks, it's also for weight loss. A group of housemaids in a particular hotel were told, they split them up into groups, and they told one group that the amount of exercise they were doing by going around and doing all the duties they were doing was actually enough exercise for them they didn't have to go to the gym, they didn't have to do any exercise, they're actually doing lots and lots of exercise, more than they realised. And the other hotel maids, they said, maybe you need to do more exercise or you're not doing enough exercise, and one group they maybe didn't say anything to at all. And they found something startling. They found that in the group who they told that they were actually doing more exercise than they realised, they started losing weight. They didn't change their diet, they didn't increase their exercise, nothing changed apart from their belief that they were doing more exercise, and they lost weight. It's amazing. Now, I don't, however, want you to rely on just your attitude. I want you to actually get a better self-image about what is possible. Now, these two here, the lady, she didn't start even working out, I think, because she was 60 or 70, and now she's in her 80s, and she looks amazing. And then the other guy, he's a doctor. Again, he used to look very much older than that 10 years ago, and he seems to be getting younger as he ages. And it's attitude and discipline and healthy living. You can get younger at any age. You've got to start seeing the aging process as something different from how most people expect. So when you think of aging, do you think of someone old and in a wheelchair? Or when you think of someone as 100 years old, do you actually see them looking more like this? And one of the things I really want to do is introduce you to a new way of thinking using the Magnificent 7 Health Heroes. These are the strategies that I learned from Dr. Bob Bukowski, and they're the ones that he taught Hannah. And another one of my heroes, a guy called Richard Buckminster Fuller, he's always keen on getting people to think differently, not by telling them to think differently, but by actually giving them tools to think differently. And this is what the Magnificent 7 Health strategies are. They're tools to make you think differently about your health, as simple as they may seem when I introduce you to them later. Now, secret number 3 is a new paradigm, which is sweeping through science and medicine, which is we must fix the cell to get well. So first of all, what is a paradigm? Well, this is a great quote from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Dr. Stephen Covey. If you want minor or small improvements, change your behavior. The key to major improvements in your life, major advancements, comes from changing your paradigm, changing the way you actually think about a certain subject, such as health. Now, who here at the moment thinks that health just happens by accident? Hopefully you're beginning to change your mind that it can be all planned. So I said new paradigm is fix a cell. So what is a cell? Now you may have heard of stem cells. Stem cells are the things that, well, we make lots of when we're growing as a baby, and before that as an embryo. And from these basic cells, different cells are made. So intestinal cells, liver cells, cardiac cells, muscle cells, blood cells, nerve cells. And all cells are basically the same, and they come from the same origin. And this is why stem cell therapy is so amazing, because it can be grown into lots of different cells. But we can all make our own stem cells. This is one of the things I'm going to be teaching my patients this year, is how to grow more of their own stem cells. Let's have a little bit of a closer look at cells, though, first of all. Actually, no, before we do that, So basically, what doctors are now thinking is that it doesn't matter where a problem is, whether it's a muscle problem, a joint problem, a heart problem, whether it's a pancreas problem causing diabetes, it's all to do with the cells. If we can actually just get the cells working better, no matter where they are, then you can cure the disease. And so if we focus on the cells rather than the disease, we're going to get some cures. Because pretty much all cells, whether in a muscle, whether in a nerve cell, they all have similar basic structures. They all have a cell membrane, okay, the thing that encapsulates it. And on the inside, you have the cell nucleus. Oh, I've moved the whole thing. On the inside, you have the cell nucleus, which contains the DNA. But then you have some other things called mitochondria, which I'll get to in a moment. Okay, but the cell membrane is really important. This is a close-up of a cell membrane. Now, one of the things that I teach my patients is the importance of cholesterol. Yes, you heard me correctly, the importance of cholesterol. Every single cell in your body has got a membrane, and every single cell membrane is made up of 2 layers of cholesterol. See the red things with the little yellow tails? Do you see them? I hope you see me moving the mouse over those. The red things with the little yellow tails, each one of those is basically a bit of cholesterol. And these 2 layers of cholesterol are what makes up most of the cell membrane. So your body is always making cholesterol. And so cholesterol will only rise in your blood for a reason, because your body's making so much of it, and it's protective and it's useful. This is why just lowering cholesterol in your blood without understanding why it's high can be so completely dangerous and life-threatening. But in the cholesterol, there's embedded all kinds of different tubes, all kinds of little antennae, all kinds of things. And these tubes and antennae are basically like locks and keys, and they're things that are picking up the environment of the cells around them and hormones, all kinds of things. And it's the different hormones as they sit on a receptor on the outside, allow a tube to open and allow things on the inside to either escape or come in. And a lot of drugs work by mimicking normal human chemical messengers. And, well, that's how they work. But if the cell membranes are damaged, then this is one of the reasons why our body loses the ability to hear our normal messages and needs something that's a lot stronger like medicine. But if you don't actually fix the cell membrane and you just keep on bombarding it with more and more drugs, the cell membrane will just degrade more and more and more, and you'll find out why in a moment. Cell membranes are massively important, and in fact, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, said the cell membrane is really the brain of the cell, not the cell nucleus. Very, very important. And again, a cell, if it's healthy, will not get sick. So a healthy cell will not become a cell that becomes diabetic. It will not become a cell that becomes arthritic. It will not become a cell in the heart that's going to cause a heart attack. It won't become a cancer cell. And we're all creating cancer cells all the time. But if a healthy cell, if a cell remains healthy, then it won't become cancerous. So what do cells need to become and stay healthy? Well, they need the correct nutrition. They need all the right raw ingredients. They also need to be able to communicate with the surrounding cells, and that's via nerves, hormones, and other chemical messengers. They also need a clean environment. If you put a cell into a toxic mess, it's going to get sick, no matter how well you feed it and how good the communication is. And the other thing every cell needs is lots of energy. And energy is made in these little babies here. They're called mitochondria. And a lot of doctors who are looking at fixing the cell, they're all saying it's all to do with the mitochondria. If we can just keep all of our mitochondria healthy, then we can keep all of our cells healthy. Because if all of our cells have enough energy, then they're going to have enough energy to stay clean and be lean and to do the things they need to. And it's because of mitochondria is one of the reasons that the drugs just don't work. Because almost every drug used to treat disease, from beta blockers, statin drugs, antibiotics are especially bad, they all actually start causing damage to your mitochondria. Things like ibuprofen, aspirin, all toxic to your mitochondria. About the only drug that doesn't seem to be toxic to your mitochondria is metformin, used in diabetes, although metformin does cause other problems in other parts of your cell. So even though it's not directly bad for the mitochondria, it is indirectly bad for it still. So drugs don't work. So I don't know why I put this in here, apart from it's just to say that, this is actually looking at cellular medicine as opposed to another form. Now, a guy came to me, Derek, who was diagnosed as clinically alcoholic. Now, a lot of people think of alcoholism, okay, it's kind of some kind of mental addiction. It's a mental problem. Addictions are a mental problem. Yes, there's a physical addiction, but it's all to do with mental attitude. It's all to do with the brain. And so this is a lot of it, but really a lot of addictions can actually be a cellular problem. And in fact, a lot of mental health problems can actually be traced back to mitochondrial cellular problems. And so Derek had tried all kinds of things and it hadn't worked. And I mean, he was healthy and fit. I mean, he liked going out running. And we put him through a cellular program for just 1 week. It was a very specific program, really detoxified him, and he discovered that it wasn't alcohol he missed, it was fruit and sugar. And he realized that he wasn't addicted to alcohol, he was addicted to sugar, and that broke the chain for him. And he massively reduced his blood pressure, he lost 3 kilograms, lost 2 inches around his waist. This is all just in 7 days, and he went out and he ran faster too. So he was very happy. 7-day program, fixed his alcoholism. So the 3 secrets, just to remind you, are medicine is broken, so it can't save you. And go and watch the Why Honest Doctors Can't Practice Honest Medicine. It's on YouTube. Secret number 2, you decide if you live or die. Secret number 3, the new paradigm, fix the cell to get well. And this is being really brought to us by medical science and also biohackers, people who are going out using technology to understand what's happening with their body and trying different things to see what happens to their health. So again, there are 2 types of health. Health by accident or planned health. Would you like planned health? I hope you're nodding yes. So how do you get planned health? You get planned health by really living the magnificent 7 health heroes or the health strategies. And they are very simple. It's so simple you might think, well, that's obvious. I know what to do. This is the thing. People think they know what to do, but they don't do it. And also, a lot of people don't realize how some of the things they think they're doing, like eating right, is nowhere near what really needs to be done. But enough of that for the moment. So the Magnificent 7 are think right, talk right, eat right, drink right, move right, sleep right, and poop right, which is not just about going to the loo. I will reveal all. So think right, as Albert Einstein said, everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. And I've tried to make the Magnificent 7 as simple as they can be, but there's a lot to it. So thoughts, as you've already seen, thoughts lead to actions and habits and character, and they can change everything. So how would you say your thoughts are? Would you say your thoughts are good, bad, exceptional, poor? What are they? Well, in my online program, I like to teach my patients lots of different thinking tools. Meditation, something called psycho-cybernetics. I like to put them in touch with Pete Cohen. Different affirmations, there's brain tap technology, there's breathing techniques, self-knowing techniques, but also food and supplements, movement and exercise are actually all thinking tools. It's very powerful. The brain, this is the core 4 again, the brain is the most nutrient dependent, energy dependent, toxin vulnerable and stress vulnerable organ in the body. And if your brain is toxic, you cannot think properly. If your brain is lacking the nutrients it needs, it cannot think properly. It can't handle stress. So getting your brain in order isn't just about trying to think better and positive thoughts and cognitive behavioral therapy and hypnotherapy. It really does involve exercise and detoxing and nutrition. So talk right. Now this does cross over with thinking. but it's also about communication externally and internally. So external communication, I'm not an expert in external communication, not an expert in teaching it anyway, but it is an extension of thinking, right? But then there's the internal communication with yourself, so again, thinking. But there's also how your nerves work, how your hormones, and how other chemical messengers, like what's called your endocannabinoid system. Light is actually a system inside your body, and also what's called the carbon-based redox system, which is a very new finding. There's all kinds of ways of communicating on the inside of our body, and also from the outside. And in fact, everything that we sense on the outside of our brain brings in the environment, and it actually has an effect right down to the individual cells and back out again. So it's really important that we do look after all of our senses and everything that interacts from our senses down to our cells, because it's all interconnected. Now, would you like a quick peek in as to what it looks like inside a cell, messenger-wise? And this is a basic version. Here we go. All of those little letters and circles and dots represent different chemical messengers and different things happening inside the cells. And lots of different points on the inside and outside is where different drugs may interact. Complicated, isn't it? And some of those are actually really meaningful and really useful to know about. That's something I do like to teach my advanced patients. Now, one of the founders of what's called orthomolecular, or the founder of orthomolecular medicine, which is getting you to have the right molecules in your body, is a guy called Linus Pauling, who worked with Dr. Jeffrey Bland. And he said everyone is different, and each individual's health benefits from having the right molecules in the right amounts. And before turning to medicine, we should attempt to adjust the normal body constituents to match the needs for optimal functioning. And this is where diet and nutrition are so important, because today's diet only contains about 1/10 of the nutrients it needs for everyone to have optimal health. And pretty much everybody these days, even if they're having a modern healthy diet, are still deficient, which is leading to chronic health problems. So let's have a look at the basic diet first of all. Now, in this day and age, I do believe that you can be a very healthy vegan, especially if you live somewhere clean and if you take some supplements. But most people's diet, you really do need to be eating a lot more vegetables than you probably realise. You should be basically a massive vegetarian with very little grains. You'll see that there's not much in the way of cereals or porridge or breakfast. Yeah, Weetabix. You don't see that in that pile. It's mostly vegetables and some fruit. There is some nuts and seeds should be in there as well. I need to get a better picture. And then some good quality proteins. Now, one of the things that eating is meant to be causing in this day and age is too high cholesterol. And one of the ways of combating cholesterol is supposedly statins. But did you know that eating an apple 3 times a week reduces your heart attack risk by 37%, whereas statins only reduce it by 28%. And that's when they're working at their very best, when you've actually got rid of all the people that it's not helping. It's very complicated, but basically, even in the best studies of statins, they still don't work as well as eating 3 apples a week. Now, as well as eating, there's drinking. And the most common drinks are water, tea, coffee, milk, soft drinks, and alcohol. And some of those are very good for you, and some of those are not very good for you at all. But drinking isn't just about drinking. Proper drinking is about hydration, and hydration actually comes from fresh fruits and vegetables, uncooked raw fruits and vegetables as well. And proper nutrition and hydration really is the foundation of life. Although some would say that movement is the foundation of life. And there's a great quote, I can't remember who said it: the body you currently have is the one you've earned by the way you move. And if you are not moving, you can't actually express your genes properly. In fact, movement is one of the things you have to do to express normal health. If you are not moving adequately, you cannot actually be healthy. No matter how healthily you eat, no matter what positive mental attitudes you have, you will never be as healthy as someone who exercises. Basically, exercise is probably better for you. Exercise, in fact, there are studies that have shown that someone who eats healthily but doesn't exercise is less healthy than someone who eats healthily, exercises, and smokes. Basically, exercising offsets smoking, and basically exercise is so good for you, you can smoke and still be healthier than someone who eats healthily and doesn't exercise. That's how good exercise is for you. Another very important thing that's becoming a massive problem worldwide is lack of sleep. It's so important to get plenty of sleep, and it's one of the things I'm going to be working on this year with people is actually putting them through sleep masterclasses, because there's actually more to it than just going to bed early. For a lot of people, believe it or not, they just can't sleep. Now, so far we've got a lot of lifestyle factors, and according to the WHO in 2005, 80% of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and 40% of cancer could be avoided if common lifestyle risk factors were eliminated. However, we now know that there's another factor that possibly could reduce cancers by up to 90%, and that is avoiding toxins. As Dr. Bob puts it, poop right. Now, our body does get rid of a lot of its waste material via the back end, and we also pee out a lot, but we also breathe out. We actually breathe out more waste material than we poo or we sweat out. But we sweat out certain toxins. Our liver is, of course, very important for this. Our intestines, our kidneys, our lungs. There's a lot to do with getting rid of toxins. We need to make sure that all of them are working. And as I have mentioned, most medical drugs actually interfere with this process in some way. Now, let's get a look at the scale of the problem. Okay. Apparently, there are satellites that can track, and there's so much toxicity in the atmosphere being released from, well, they've picked on China here, but you can actually track toxins being emitted from one factory in one part of the world and spreading around the world to other parts. According to the WHO, nearly a quarter of the global disease burden is related to environmental toxicity. And in fact, it's just getting worse. We know that just about every single species around the world is being affected by pollution, and it's stopping them from breeding. And it's not just polar bears who are so far removed from our Western industrial life, and they are being affected by our pollution. So do you think we are being affected by pollution? Do you think it's a mistake to not try and clean up your own body when we know that the bodies of these animals far, far away are polluted by our chemicals? And every week there's a new study that are showing how badly humans are affected. I mean, I just read this hairspray one again, but it actually came back about as far as 2008. They found out that hairspray used by women in pregnancy can actually disrupt the proper formation of male testes and sexual organs, and this can lead to both physical and emotional trauma. And they've also now found that it can cause early puberty in girls, and early puberty is not good. They've also found recently that just by putting an air purifier in people's homes with people with high blood pressure, it can actually decrease their blood pressure. So air pollution, and this is just looking at two simple things that you can do from the air. I mean, these pollutants are absolutely terrible, and this is just two of them, and there are about 100,000 different chemicals, both in our bathroom, it's in our food, it's in the air, it's in our water. And now a lot of doctors are saying it's no longer a question of if we are toxic. It's actually, we're all toxic, and now it's just a question of how toxic are we. There's a great TED talk called Toxic Baby, and go and watch it because it's horrifying and it should get you into action. There's a simple question I ask my patients, and basically if they answer yes to this, then I know they're not toxic. And so I'll ask you, can you safely drink the water from the streams within a 5-mile radius of your house? Can you? It's pretty unlikely that you will go and drink the water in the streams near your house because it will be polluted. And that's basically a sign of the pollution in the surrounding atmosphere, the surrounding environment, and in you. Now, the thing is, toxicity doesn't have to be so much toxicity that it shows up in the blood, because what they're now finding is the fact that there are now 100,000 different toxic chemicals, and you can get one toxic chemical that is at 100,000th of its toxic range, so it can't be detected in the blood, but it then interacts with another one at 100,000th of its toxic level, and another one, and another one, and another one, and then you get effects like fatigue, sleep disturbances, gastrointestinal distress, so IBS, for instance, Crohn's disease, headaches, allergy symptoms, confusion, anxiety. All of these can be caused by a chronically toxic body. And all you have to do is clean the body up, and suddenly the brain works better, the fatigue goes, you can sleep better, your gut problems go, headaches disappear. Detoxification is a big piece of the puzzle for regaining and rebooting your health. And I use a number of different detox protocols in the clinic. One of them is that devised by Dr. Bob Bukowski that my friend Hannah went through. And she went through it multiple times. It's a 1-week intense detox. It's one of the best things you can do to boost your health. So before I finish with the Magnificent Seven, just tell you one more thing, one more super analogy to help you get the whole thing into big picture. Now, the River Thames and the Great Lakes, they both used to be much more polluted than they are now. And so in the Thames it was so bad that I don't think at one point in London there were any fish. I don't think there was anything living in the Thames at one point, apart from bacteria. And the Great Lakes, again, they found the fish were diseased from all the pollution. Now, would it make sense to actually just pile drugs in to actually try and cure the fish of all their diseases? Because that's basically what the pharmaceutical industries are trying to currently do. They're trying to say everyone should be taking antidepressants, everyone should be taking blood pressure drugs, everyone should be taking statins to stop us all dying from all these things. But would it make sense to just add more drugs that can cause more mitochondrial dysfunction and more sickness and more pollution? Does it make more sense? No. Does it make more sense to clean up the pollution? Because that's what happened in the River Thames, that's what happened in the Great Lakes, and then you get healthy fish again. So do you agree that cleaning up your body could be as important as cleaning up the River Thames and the Great Lakes? I also hope you're seeing, I hope you're nodding, but I also hope you're seeing that there's a great synergistic effect between all of the Magnificent Seven and all the health problems. They're all combined. Thinking right, eating right, drinking right, exercising, they all have an effect on one another. And combining them, that's what's going to be laziness and malnutrition and toxicity and stress. Okay, so the opposite of those are move, nourish, detox, and buffer your stress. So who here thinks that the Magnificent Seven could be really awesome if applied to your life? Yes or yes? So you may have realised that I teach my patients, and I have got an online training program that does teach this in depth. But I have put together the Keep It Simple 7. At the moment, top secret. I will be revealing it all. If you'd like to get hold of that, I'll tell you how in a minute. So again, they are think right, talk right, eat right, drink right, move right, sleep right, poop right. And the Keep It Simple 7 are designed to try to put it 7 different strategies together as simply as possible to help as many people as possible for as little as possible. Now, there's a great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, and he's asked one question, and that is, what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else is either easier or just unnecessary? And so this brings me to the one resolution. And this all brings us all the way back to think right again. Now you might have seen in the affirmation slide, I am enough. Now, this is a picture of a lady called Marissa Peer, and I've actually got her webinar on my website, thepainreliefcentres.co.uk/I-am-enough. I'll send out a link if you request it. And she basically said that one of the greatest diseases that's affecting us today is I am not enough. And this all stems from childhood. And there's a 40-minute talk, and I really, really recommend everyone watch this to get this in their heads how important this is. And she quite rightly says that so many people start the year with all these great ideas and resolutions and intentions. They're going to exercise, they're going to eat healthy, they're going to kick this habit, they're going to do this. And this is what New Year's resolutions is all about. But most people, after about 2 weeks, start failing. And then they start kicking themselves in the teeth and putting themselves down and saying, I failed again, I failed again. They're beating themselves up every day because they failed. And she says, look, I've helped so many people with just this one thing, getting people to every day just write in their diary, I am enough, to have it written on post-it notes around the house so they see I am enough, and to actually say it and repeat it to themselves every day, I am enough. And she goes into the reasons why in her talk. And this year she basically put together what she called I Am Enough Day. And she said, look, if everyone just made their simple resolution of just saying, seeing and writing, I am enough, everyone can do it. And at the end of the day, all they have to do is just say it, and they've done it. And it's something they've done every day. And if people just started doing this and building their confidence and building this belief in themselves that they can do it, then they will be better people. They'll be happier people. The world will be a better place. So I say to you now, start with I am enough. Start with watching the I am enough video on YouTube. Just go onto YouTube and put in I am enough and Marissa Peer, and you'll find something. So that's the one thing I'd recommend you do. But maybe you want more. So if I may, I'm going to share with you some results of people going through my Magnificent 7 program, which also incorporates this 7-week anti-aging program. Can I share some results with you? Thank you. So this young lady, Trina, she just actually took on one solitary technique. Okay, and she basically wrote back saying, I feel brilliant. My RA, that's short for rheumatoid arthritis in my knees and hand, have all but disappeared. So clearly it's helped with inflammation. I'm sleeping better. It seems to have started weight loss again. And she said her headaches have gone and sugar cravings. And also she said, where is it? Menopausal stuff has gone as well. So she really had a tremendous change with just basically one basic change that we made. And that's a bit longer. And this lady went through a longer program with me. And just to show you that we can help with pain even without seeing people. So I will read this out to you. Before starting the program, I had continual pain in my spine and muscles and took painkillers nearly every day. Sleeping was especially difficult, and I used to wake up in pain every night between 2 and 4 a.m. I found the disruption to my sleep made me feel depressed and less able to cope with day-to-day tasks. This had been going on for about 9 months before I started. Now, she'd been seeing a chiropractor and she'd get temporary relief, but the pain would come back again. But she was doing it because it was getting some relief. Basically, since doing the program with me, she said, my pain has decreased to a level where I no longer need painkillers and I can sleep through the night. She's also started running again, and she no longer feels that she has aged prematurely. And that's Anne down in Weymouth. We've only ever met briefly. She's just done my online program. And then some completely different, this is what I said earlier, results vary. This is Dr. Kushal in Ireland. She said goodbye to 15 kilograms in less than 2 months. And then another lady, she wrote to me saying, what have you done to my hair, Christopher Pickard? It has gone thick and silky and completely not like it has been for the other 51 years of my life. So you want better hair? Go through my anti-aging program. It's not just for women though. Men, Mr. Wills, 67 years old, more energy and lost 22 pounds in 7 weeks. Ed, 46 years old, lost 20 pounds in 3 months, lost his back pain, and his gout become much better as well. And then my friend James Scrimshaw, a doctor of chiropractic down in Bristol, before I went through the program, I had eczema, reflux, and used it to puff on an inhaler a few times a week. All are clear, not necessary anymore. Got to be good, eh? He also lost 20 pounds in 3 months. So let me ask you a question. 2 questions, actually. Would you like those kind of results? And would you like my help? Because you now have 2 choices. Your first option is to do what you did last year and get the same results. Now, it's possible that you had great results last year with what you did, so carry on, carry on. But if you didn't get great results last year, then try something new. Book a Health Revolution call with me. You can email me at drchris@bodyimbalanceuk.com. So just reply to the email with the link to this webinar, or go on to one of the websites, either bodyimbalanceuk.com or the Pain Relief Centres, or give me a call on 01 707 662 704. Again, on the replay, you can look at that again, and I'll just leave this up. Basically, invest in your health, in money and in time. Okay, you can find the time. It is easy if you know how. And this is what I teach. Now, the only way to have health is to earn health. Call us on 01707 662 704 or reply by email. Now, I wish you absolutely magnificent health, and I am going to be providing information weekly for hopefully the rest of the year, because I want to make my community the healthiest place in Britain, and hopefully I'm going to make Britain my community, and then eventually Europe and the world, and we're going to make the world the healthiest place in the world to live. And I'd really like your help. Thank you very much. Be well.